लेकिन मेरा ये विश्वास है मित्रों, विकास ही सभी समस्याओं का समाधान है दोस्तों। ये मेरा कन्विक्शन है। गुड गवर्नेंस एंड डेवलपमेंट, ये कंबाइन चलना चाहिए। आपके पास पैसे हैं, बस स्टेशन बना दिया, इससे काम होने वाला नहीं है। वहां का कंडक्टर नागरिकों के साथ कैसा बिहेव करता है, बस टाइम पे आती है कि नहीं आती है, ये गुड गवर्नेंस से पता चलता है। दोनों का कॉम्बिनेशन चाहिए और जन भागीदारी से होना चाहिए। और ये मंत्र ऐसा नहीं है जो हिंदुस्तान में लागू नहीं किया जा सकता है, बड़े आराम से किया जा सकता है।
Our economic vision must be about more than money. It must be about compassion. We must envision a future for India that leaves no man and no woman outside in the shadows. Embracing the excluded is essential to the wealth of the nation. If we do not embrace them, we will all suffer. It's very simple. In a democracy, the poor have a veto, and we have to carry the poor and the weak with us. India will only move forward with inclusive growth that embraces everyone and is open and attainable to those inside this room and those very, very far outside. Now, there is a strong connection between harmony and growth. I spoke about this energy, this movement, and there are two ways this movement can go. It can go harmoniously, or it can go disruptively. And the idea of the Congress Party is that it should go harmoniously. Everybody should move together happily. There's a strong connection between harmony and growth. India has grown faster under the UPA because we have greatly lowered tensions between communities, made growth more inclusive, and fostered an environment of tolerance and harmony. Anger, hatred, and prejudice do not contribute to growth. Do not underestimate the benefits of harmony. When you play the politics of alienating communities, you stop the flow of movement of people and ideas. And when that happens, we all suffer. Businesses suffer, the seeds of disharmony are sown, and the dreams of our people are severely disrupted. Once begun, this damage takes a very long time to reverse. It is very dangerous to leave people behind. Inclusive growth is a win-win for everybody. The power of this country is 1 billion plus voices. And until we start listening to them, and until we start pushing them into the system, we are not going to generate our true power. 200 million people, Muslims, you said they don't exist. So we're going to keep them out of the system. It is not sustainable. It is a complete waste of our energy. We have to take everybody together. That is our power. In fact, not only do we have to take everybody who is ours together, we've got to take them all. Our idea is so big that it can carry not only India, it can carry everybody else.
एक दूसरा भाव जनता में जो पड़ा है, उसको भी बदलने की आवश्यकता है। हमारे देश में क्या रहा, जनता को लगा कि हम इनको एक 5 साल का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट देते हैं अपना वोट दे करके, कि मोदी को 5 साल गुजरात दिया, अब ठीक ठाक करके दे दो, और नहीं दिया तो अगले 5 साल तुम्हारी छुट्टी करेंगे। यानी हमने डेमोक्रेसी का अर्थ यही बना दिया कि किसी को वोट दे करके कॉन्ट्रैक्ट दे देना और फिर उसका हिसाब मांगना, हिसाब में नहीं निकला तो दूसरे को ले आना, दूसरा गया तो तीसरे को ले आना। मैं समझता हूं डेमोक्रेसी ये सिर्फ वोट दे करके सरकारें चुनने वाला हिस्सा नहीं है। डेमोक्रेसी का पूरा मतलब मैं ये समझता हूं, जनता और सरकार ने मिलजुल करके देश और राज्य को आगे बढ़ाना है। मैं कभी कभी सोचता हूं, आप पूरे देश की गुलामी के कालखंड के इतिहास को देखें, 1200 साल के, गांधी की विशेषता देखिए। गांधी ने क्या किया? गांधी ने आजादी को जन आंदोलन में परिवर्तित कर दिया। उन्होंने हर व्यक्ति को कहा कि भाई देखिए, तुम झाड़ू लगाते हो वो भी देश की आजादी का काम है। तुम खादी बुनते हो, वो भी देश की आजादी का काम है। तुम किसी अनपढ़ को पढ़ाते हो, वो भी आजादी का काम है। तुम जो भी काम कर रहे हो देश के लिए कर रहे हो। और उन्होंने इतनी सरल डेफिनेशन कर दी और हर किसी को लगने लगा कि मैं जो काम कर रहा हूं मेरे लिए, मेरे देश के लिए कर रहा हूं। और इस ताकत को अंग्रेज पहचान नहीं पाए और उसके कारण एक ज्वार पैदा हुआ। मित्रों, डेवलपमेंट के लिए भी जन आंदोलन बहुत अनिवार्य है।
What's happening in India today, and the key is the 73rd and 74th Amendment. The 73rd and 74th Amendment basically created a third tier of government, a structure below the MLA and the MP. And what is taking place in India is a devolution of power to this third tier. And a lot of the tension you see is actually the tension that is coming, the challenge that is coming actually from the panchayat. Each one of those pradhans is working with a couple of crores. That's the difference in power. I have power to make policy. He has tremendous power at the local level. And what he is saying, the pradhan, he's saying this system is too closed for me. It's not good enough. There's 3 million of us, and we have no voice in this big system. That's the pressure that is driving Manrega. That's the pressure that's driving RTI. That's the pressure that is changing our development paradigm and making it more granular. There is a challenge being thrown to MPs and MLAs by the Pradhan. And our political parties are not designed for Pradhans. They are designed for MPs and MLAs. That's the problem. And until we actually start to build the structures that bring these guys' voices in, we are going to have this type of policy, this type of conflict. What's actually happening, if you want it at the ground level, what's actually happening is that the Pradhan is the builder. He's the guy who does the job in the village. When we fight elections, we go to the Pradhan and we say, support us. But the Pradhan doesn't actually have any power in the political party. That's the problem. And it's a problem that, let me put it bluntly, it's a problem that Pradhan is going to solve. He's not going to worry about whether there's an MP in front of him or an MLA in front of him. He's the last mile. So what we have to do, the architecture we have to build, is one which brings the Pradhan in. And that, frankly, other than the left parties and some of the Dravidian parties, none of the other parties have. So what you're actually seeing is a structure where the grassroots are completely disconnected. They're not connected to the political system. And that's where the dysfunctionality is coming.
आइडियाज को इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइज करना चाहिए। लीडर सेंट्रिक, पर्सनालिटी सेंट्रिक, इंडिविजुअल सेंट्रिक चीजें अगर चली भी जाएं, थोड़े साल चलेगी, देश और समाज का फायदा नहीं होगा। हमने इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइज करना चाहिए।
And in the 21st century, we need to make ideas move fast. We need to aggressively build the knowledge infrastructure that will support this massive flow of ideas. Together, we must ensure that our knowledge, education, and skills define the global standard. It's not good enough for us to say, we want to be like them. They have to say, we want to be like India. Certainly, we have the seeds of a world-class education system. It's there, but it's small. It needs to be expanded. Our problem is not joblessness. It is a lack of training and skills. Why should a mother sleep at night worrying about whether her brilliant child will find a school to go to? Why is it that a degree from Harvard costs the same as the capitation fees of a medical college in Lucknow? Why are our students forced to study obsolete things? I'm a pilot. I learned to fly in the United States. I came back. I wanted to convert my license. So I went to the DGC and I said, what do I have to do? They gave me the curricula. I opened the book. Large section in the book. How to drop mail from aeroplanes. How many of you are getting your mail dropped from aeroplanes in the sky? It's been a long time since I got that. But we're teaching it to our kids. Guy's flying a A340, looks out, and they're telling him, listen, you need to know how to drop mail from planes. And this is not only in pilot training. It's everywhere. Look at our textbooks. Open them out. Most of the stuff is not really relevant to what they're going to do.
कभी-कभी हम लोग हमारी अपनी शक्ति का उपयोग भी नहीं करते हैं। आज चर्चा चलती है 21वीं सदी हिंदुस्तान की सदी, कोई कहता है 21वीं सदी एशिया की सदी, कोई कहता है 21वीं सदी चाइना की सदी या हिंदुस्तान की सदी, ये चर्चा चल रही है। हमारे पास दो चीजें ऐसी हैं जिसको लेकर के चाइना के कंपैरिजन में हम दुनिया के सामने एक ताकत बनकर के उभर सकते हैं। एक डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड, 65% जनसंख्या इस देश की 35 से कम आयु की है, नौजवानों का देश है। ये डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड सारे दुनिया के अंदर एक ताकत के रूप में हम प्रस्तुत कर सकते हैं। और जब चाइना से कंपैरिजन की बात करते हैं तब हमारी ये सोच होनी चाहिए कि हमारे पास डेमोक्रेसी का भी एक डिविडेंड है और अभी तक हम इसको इस्तेमाल नहीं कर रहे हैं। हमारी लोकतांत्रिक ताकत ये अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा सामर्थ्यवान हमारे पास एक हथियार है, ये हमारी एक पहचान है। और जब चाइना के कंपैरिजन में विश्व के अंदर जाके खड़े रहना है तो ये दो चीजें हैं, डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड एंड डेमोक्रेसी का डिविडेंड, इन दोनों को एक शक्ति के रूप में हमने आगे रखना चाहिए। ये स्ट्रेटेजी का विषय है और इस पर हमने बल देना चाहिए।
You know, I went to one of these talks and the Chinese Prime Minister's secretary came up to me. Can you just come here one second? The Chinese Prime Minister's secretary came up to me and she said, sorry, he's the secretary. So the Chinese Prime Minister's secretary came up to me in one of these talks and she says to me, Mr. Gandhi, tell me, sorry, I hope you don't mind.
No.
She says, tell me, Mr. Gandhi, why is it that everyone worries about China and nobody worries about India? So I said, well, why don't you tell me? And she says, you know, Mr. Gandhi, because China is more powerful than India. I said, that's interesting. I said, show me your hand. Sorry, I'm going to have to do this. I said, show me your hand. I said, you see, this is how China applies power. When I apply power like this, he feels it. He understands it. And he says, hey, you're holding my hand. You're pressing me down. Now, this is how India applies power. Hold this.
Very true. Very true.
Right? Now, she looked at me and she was like, she actually saw it, she realized it. We are actually much more powerful than we think. Except, we just don't apply power in a centralized way. There are people doing yoga in New York, dancing around. That's Indian power. You go to a nightclub somewhere in Spain, and there's Amitabh Bachchan on the screen there dancing around. That's Indian power.
मित्रों, मेरे यहाँ एक स्वागत कार्यक्रम चलता है। इसमें एक प्रेजेंटेशन में एक लाइन आया, मैं आज भी मानता हूं कि डेमोक्रेसी की सबसे बड़ी ताकत होती है ग्रीवेंस रिड्रेसल सिस्टम। अगर ग्रीवेंस रिड्रेसल सिस्टम अगर पुअर है तो मतलब आपकी डेमोक्रेसी पुअर है। गरीब से गरीब आदमी की आवाज सुननी चाहिए, उसको अपनी आवाज बुलंद करने की व्यवस्था होनी चाहिए, हक होना चाहिए। हमने एक टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग करते हुए, स्वागत ऑनलाइन मेरा कार्यक्रम चल रहा है, इन दिनों तो पूरे देश के लोग उसको स्टडी करने आते हैं। यूनाइटेड नेशन ने उसको बहुत बड़ा अवार्ड देकर सम्मानित किया है। मेरे यहां उसकी ताकत इतनी है मित्रों, गरीब से गरीब आदमी भी डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल के अफसर के पास जाता है और कहता है कि मेरा ये काम करो, और अगर वो खानाकानी करता है, ढीलाढाली बात करता है, तो गरीब आदमी एक शब्द जान गया, वो कहता है साहब करते हो कि नहीं करते हो, वरना ऑनलाइन जाता हूं। और ऑनलाइन जाता है तो अफसर खड़ा हो जाएगा, बैठो बैठो भाई, मैं आपका काम करता हूं। देखिए, हमें एम्पावर करना होगा देश के नागरिकों को, उसकी शक्ति बढ़ानी होगी।
It's very simple. In a democracy, the poor have a veto. And we have to carry the poor and the weak with us. The poor are one component of our country. Business is another component. The middle class is a third component. We have to work with all these components. It's not good enough to say, listen, the poor are important. It's not good enough to say business is important. It's not good enough to say middle class is important or the powerful are important. This country is only going to move forward if we stitch together a coalition where we are all working together.
क्या आपको इस बात की खुशी नहीं होनी चाहिए कि इस देश में एक पॉलिटिकल पार्टी है जिसका अपना कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सेटअप है, निर्णय की प्रक्रियाएं हैं, और इतने सारे माहौल के बीच भी अपने सारे रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन का पालन करते हुए डेमोक्रेटिक वे में एक पार्टी चल रही है? यह आनंद का विषय नहीं है। आनंद होना चाहिए भैया कि यस, दिस इज द वे। ये परिवार के अंदर तय नहीं होता है, आनंद होना चाहिए आपको यार।
What is compassion? It's just listening, nothing else. It's just listening to what the other person is saying. Not put the label on him that boss, he's a rich man, he's a poor man, he's a fool, he's intelligent. No, just listen. Just go out there and listen. If we just start doing that and listening to every single person in this country, this thing will build itself so fast, you won't know what's happened. I'm proud to be an Indian. I love this complexity. It drives me crazy. You know, I got press guys asking me, when you're getting married. Somebody else saying, boss, when you're going to be PM. Somebody saying, no, you're not going to be PM. Somebody saying, maybe you will be PM. There's a good possibility. It's like the American polling charts. You know, this is looking at 47.3% possibility that he might be PM. These are all irrelevant questions. It's all smoke.